Hi, I'm Ray Snell. I'm with the American Conservatives Value Network. Today joining me is Andre Barnett. You are a candidate for president.
Yes, I am.
Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for having me.
It's rare that we get a person of such stature here running for president. We have had the occasion to talk to Mitt Romney and some other political figures, but rarely do we get a candidate to sit down and talk to us like this, so we appreciate that. Now, I'll ask you the obvious question. Nobody's heard of you. You weren't on the debates this week.
You're right. That's because I'm an independent. One of the things that I have refused to do is really constrain myself to the establishment parties. One of the biggest issues I have is that, to me, it seems that the Republican values or the Republican history has been hijacked by the liberals or the Democrats. The Democratic Party is now taking credit for what the Republicans have done in the past. That is a lot of the minority rights that have come about. That is starting the desegregation of our school systems. That is being the working man or the working class's advocate in Washington. That's what the Republicans did long ago. This is where it started. And so I believe that these roles flip-flop every so often. Mm-hmm. And I just refuse to be a part of that institution.
Okay. Well, as you know, in the last few weeks, there's been a lot going on. One thing I want to talk about, because I don't know if anybody on the show's talked about it real in any kind of depth, is what's happened in Penn State. Here we have a beloved coach who, according to the transcripts from the grand jury, did what he was legally required to do, but he still got fired. He still got fired. Other people got fired. I think there's going to be more firings. I think Penn State's probably going to end up paying about $200 million. That's $200 million out in damages to the victims. And I've read part of those transcripts, and they'll make anybody physically ill because they're so detailed and graphic. And I think about what if I had been that assistant coach well, actually a graduate assistant, wasn't even an assistant coach at the time, and walked into the shower and saw a 50-year-old man raping a 10-year-old boy. How do you run from that situation? How do you not save that boy in question, and then you have to restrain yourself from physically beating the crap out of that person, that insect that was raping that boy? I don't know. Where do you see our problems with this? Because this was not something that just happened. This was 10, 12 years of this period that went on. They actually had a police investigation on it 12 years ago.
And if it hadn't been put into the press, if it wasn't so reprehensible to the American public, if the school wasn't getting so much pressure, nothing would have happened probably from that point on. But it deals with the morality of this country, the state that we're in right now. Look at the laws that were governing over the activities here. Both of these coaches did what was legally acceptable, required of them. And they performed those duties. However, morally speaking, that child's safety should have taken precedence. And if it did not pull his heart enough to go and do something, that means that there's something wrong with that coach as well. And so it doesn't just reside with the person that was committing the act, or how heinous it was. It also resides with those people that witnessed it, those people that heard about it, and did the minimum of what was required.
Minimum. Even there's testimony of a janitor who actually walked in a situation like that, and he told his supervisor, and the supervisor advised him to be quiet.
Right.
I don't know. They should both be gone too.
They should. Anyone involved should. But that, again, it takes us back to the morality of our laws, of our country, of the people that are witnessing these acts. You know, if you look on the computers today, you can see child pornography all the time, and it's something that is it's the same thing. It's heinous. You shouldn't be anyone that's affiliated with it. Of course, they can be arrested if they're found. They don't have to divulge the information. The people that are associated with it, they don't have to divulge the information of the people that are actually buying their services because they're protected. I don't understand how you're protected. But again, it deals with the morality of our country right now, and I think that that's one of the reasons that I'm running for President of the United States. We really need to go back to the moral standard.
Yeah, you know, you brought on internet pornography, and most people don't realize that 80% of all pages on the internet is pornography.
You're right.
80%, an astounding number.
Yes.
You know, television when it first came on was going to be this great tool for learning, and we do have, you know, the History Channel, National Geo, you got C-SPAN, things like that. But when you look through the depth of all the channels, I mean, most of it is mindless entertainment. And the same hope was for the internet, that it's a great, and it is. I mean, my kids do all the research online. When I just went back to college in 2000, that's where I did all my research. It's a great tool, but like all tools, apparently it can be misused.
Right. Well, the internet was also supposed to be for defense network, and of course now it's become a weapon used against
us. Yeah.
That's right. So.
Well, so Penn State we've talked about. I know that most of the viewers, if not, and I dare say all of our viewers, will be outraged over what's going on there. However, I don't think the kids who are playing football right now should be penalized. I don't think the sport should be banned. I don't think that they should give up their season. The kids playing the football games, the student athletes should not be penalized.
No, they shouldn't.
And I know some are calling for that, but that's just way out there. You start talking about, a little bit about military. So, and I know that military is important to you. I believe you were a Marine?
I was actually an Army veteran.
Okay, an Army veteran. Well, I have Marines on my brain because my son's a Marine.
That's correct.
So they just celebrated their birthday this week. I know my son was at the Marine Corps birthday party. Always a fabulous event. I wish I could have gone again this year, but I had to rake leaves. But let's talk about national security, your military service, and where you want to see that going, because the national security is always a big issue with the presidential campaign.
It really is. And I think that the focus of national security is in the wrong area right now. Too much of it is focused outside of our borders, when we really need to be looking at what's going on within our borders. If we don't fix our own house, we're not going to be able to fix problems in other countries or assist them. What I see as the biggest issue dealing with our own country is the high rate of unemployment and poverty. If you look at Social Engineering 101, which is something that is greatly detailed when you get into the military, if you are poverty-stricken or very poor, you're going to do whatever you need to do to gain the funds you need, especially those that have children. Parents will do whatever it takes to take care of their children. And this is one of those issues where if they are offered money for any acts, and it may be something that seems very simple to them, that's innocent, but could be a heinous act in real life, and their judgment is off. They need the money. They're doing whatever they can. We have to look at this as homegrown terrorism. These things are taking place within our borders, and we are a divided nation. President Obama has expressed great deals of accolades for the Islamic community, the Nation of Islam, the Muslim community, when he says he's a Christian. I find many of these things that you have to understand that the Muslim faith is actually a law. It's not just a religion. So what we're instituting here is another law or an allowance for another law to be practiced in our own country.
So you think Sharia law will become a problem as we go on?
I think it's already a problem. As we've seen in different states around our own country, we're seeing where some states, and I believe it was either Michigan or Pennsylvania, that was allowing the Muslim children to gather for prayer, but not the Christian children. And this was
But
in
that's
their
always
schools.
okay in our society
Right.
because, you know, I think that the elites are embarrassed that we're a Christian nation.
Right.
And we are a Christian nation. We're built on the Christian foundation. Our laws are Christian for the most part. I think we've seen some
Slight
things
deviation.
there. And, you know, our country was built on freedom of religion, not freedom from religion.
Right.
There's this doctrine called separation of church and state.
No, there's not.
Nowhere in the Constitution. No, I
Nowhere.
agree. It's a
You're right.
made-up document.
It's not even a
doctrine.
document. It actually came from the letters to one of the churches in Connecticut, and it was protecting their rights. It was not dividing them or separating them, but it was a letter of protection to them. Now, when we look at this, I'm talking about the intestinal fortitude of our leadership. There is none. I think that void of leadership, taking responsibility and making sure that you're really personifying the notion that America is exceptional, and that's America in every aspect. That means that we're a Christian nation, and we're exceptional. Our faith is exceptional. That's what made us great, was our faith. And so, you know, when we look at these things, I don't hear any other candidates willing to stand up and say, as I've said before, the church is our greatest defense against terrorism and our national security. So when we're looking at the values of our children, of our youth, the values that are implemented in our school systems, these are all going to add to our national security, because when we institute these values, we're teaching against these terrorist thought processes, the extremist thought processes, and we're teaching against the ability of them to actually get to our children, teaching against the ability of them to infiltrate different community activities, different groups of individuals. But at the same time, we have to look at the loyalty of our government to our society, to the people, of the taxpayers of this country, because if we are causing the problem, such as poverty, such as joblessness, the community or the taxpayers are going to look at us and say, well, why would we be loyal to the government when the government's not loyal to us? They're not taking care of our basic needs.
Well, and we've seen a couple movements grow up over this. One be the Tea Parties.
Right.
The Tea Party throughout the country saying we're overtaxed, and actually, at least, let's bring that back. Tea Party stands for tax enough already. They don't want to see increases in taxes. They want the government to live within what they're making now. And then the other one is the Occupy Wall Street. And there's a movement that has no real clue. There's a very, very small group within each little organization that understands the real problems. And it's the removal of the shackles from the banking industry. We took off all restrictions, it seemed like, off the banking industry. And boy, did they take care of it. I mean, they just went wild.
Right.
And we are all paying for this now, except, according to these groups, and I may agree with some of them, except for the banks, because you and I as taxpayers keep bailing them out.
Right.
Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac just asked for another $8 billion.
Right.
They've already gone bankrupt. The government now owns those entities rather than being a non-governmental organization. Now